Micheal Buble. Mr. Buble, how are you?
Thanks for having me.
Of course, good to have you back. You were away for a long time. Every time I would talk to you, you were away, and now you're back. You're back in Canada. You're doing this thing.
Yeah, I talked to you a couple times actually. That last time I told you, you should have stayed at my. You were
place.
doing. Yeah, you should have stayed at my apartment.
Should I tell them what you said was in the fridge? No, we won't do that. No, well, I didn't want to stay in your apartment. I thought it'd be next time. I'm going to Vancouver in a couple of weeks. I'll stay there.
Yeah, you should. It's absolutely. It kind of feels like a waste when you have an apartment, you're never there. You know what I mean? So I have friends stay over there all the time.
Actually, you're saving the money too because it's a taxpayer network, CBC. So you're just cutting some of the costs. That's very good for you. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Coming back home, what's it like?
Coming back to Tour Canada?
Yeah.
Awesome, because, you know, obviously you're I'm you and you're me, and humor, we get each other. The critics, it was weird. In the West, they kind of sucked. It was so weird. Like, I went to 45 countries, and the show got really, was really accepted, and then I came back and I did the same show and the same thing, and the audience reacted the same way, and yet everything wasn't really a review of the show, but it was like I was compared in a social aspect to, like, he's no Frank Sinatra, and I was like, oh shit, I'm no Frank Sinatra.
Who is?
No, but there never will be, and I'm from Canada, and I was born in '75, and I don't hang out with mobsters. I'd rather hang out with the Canucks, you know.
Yeah, so, fair enough. I think that there's a thing in Canada that a lot of the critics just don't like Canadians who do all right elsewhere.
What did somebody? Tall poppy?
Tall poppy syndrome. We have a tall poppy syndrome where we cut out the tallest poppy in this country. A lot of critics don't like the fact that you do well.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people weren't prepared for your show to be so funny as well.
Oh, that's great.
Like, it's a stand-up act.
Yeah.
Is it when you tell them those jokes to a German audience? How does that work?
Well, I just tell, like, I actually go on Wikipedia and stuff, or I'll even hire a writer, and like, if I'm in Germany or Holland or Sweden or France or Japan, anything, I'll go and look up kind of like what's cool locally and who is their big kind of star, or sometimes who, like, their nerdiest kind of stars. Like, there's a guy who's he's a big celebrity in, I think, Germany, and his name is Helmut Lotti.
Oh yeah, and he's got those From Russia with Love.
Yes, that's right.
That's awesome.
So he's like a big, he sells lots of records and he does well and all that stuff. But he's kind of like, the grandmas love him. You know what I mean? He's not a bad, he's a great guy. I met him and everything. But basically, like, if some little German girl would yell, like, "I love you, Michael," I would say, yeah, sure, you love me. Tonight it's "I love you, Michael," but I know tomorrow it's "I love you, Helmut Lotti."
You play into the locals.
Yeah, you play for the locals, exactly.
We had Paul Anka on here a little while ago, and he said that he had called you a while back about 4 in the afternoon, and you answered the phone. He's like, "What are you doing sleeping at 4?"
I know.
How is the lifestyle? I mean, you've been on the road for a long time.
The thing that keeps me alive, truly, is I do the show at 9 o'clock. I finish at about 10:45, 11 o'clock. I go to the bus, we hang out, we kind of party and watch TV and, whatever. Sometimes we'll, like, invite a bunch of girls from the audience. We'll set up a catering room and we'll chill, we'll have, like, everyone will have drinks and all of this stuff.
See, everybody does that. You just admit that you do that.
I know, but why is that weird?
I know.
Is that so weird to people?
Not at all.
What am I supposed to do? Sit on my bus and go,
the second song was not as perfect as we could have had it.
So, and then I go to sleep at about 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, and I wake up at about 2 or 3. But then the best part is, 2 or 3, I wake up, I have some breakfast, I go do sound check, and boom, I'm on stage, and then I'm partying again.
You're back on.
And so the time goes by fast because I miss my family, I miss being at home, I miss my bed and my TV channels that I know, and George.
He's talking about Clooney, by the way. How has that changed for you? I'm curious, because you've been doing well for a while now. You're so successful, not just in your country, but elsewhere. It does take you away a lot. Sure. Has your relationship with the missing things, has that changed or evolved at all?
You know what? I think I go through little spurts where I get bad at, I won't call my grandpa. And it's not because I don't love him to die. Like, I miss him terribly. But 2 weeks will go by. And it'll feel like 2 days. And as a matter of fact, like a couple days ago, it had been like that. And I went, what am I doing? And I just called my grandpa and I was like, oh my God, I miss you. I need to talk to you. And then I'll call him for every day. We'll sit in every day and we'll talk about hockey and we'll bitch about everything and all this stuff. But I go back and forth, and it's like you know this, it's like we're doing an interview, so we have to kind of do this with each other, but it's a cocoon.
Yeah.
You know, being on the road, going out and living your life on tour is living in a cocoon. And basically, you go away and you stay that same 21-year-old kid, and you go home and your buddies, your best buddies, Brad Openshaw, all of a sudden he has, you know, beautiful kids and a sweet wife, and he's a dad and a husband, and you go like, but no, because we were just, remember when we were drinking beer and at the strippers and all of that, and
well,
but
you
now
keep
he's
telling
a
those
dad.
stories, and he'll be single again.
But now he's a dad, and he loves it. He's a dad. He's in love with his wife. He's a good dad with his kids, and I'm in a cocoon, and everyone got old around me except for me.
Do you feel like you're missing something, or?
Yeah, some part of me does, and another part of me, some part of me does. A sentimental part of me goes, oh my God, I got to be careful not to go out too long and not to do this for too long and make this the priority for too long. Mm-hmm. But then another part of me is shaking hands with Prince Charles and going, this is so cool. You know?
What's he like? What's Charles like?
Tall.
Yeah?
Tall, and he's got quite a deep voice.
Is
kind of sexy.
Has that been the weirdest guy that you've met? Like your weirdest situation?
Weirdest situation. I've had some. I've had some.
You
weird...
partying at Leonardo DiCaprio's house.
Yeah, that was, and that was early on. That was when I was like 24 or something like that.
And what happened?
He was really nice. I mean, I had friends that were friends of his, and so we would go. We would play basketball and stuff, and go to party. He was a really kind of nice, quiet, smart, classy guy, and I just remember going to his house, and he was making us nachos. And I didn't know him at all. Like, he was just nice enough to me. I was just kind of the buddy of the buddy that came by, and he was, nice enough to have me at the house and to be a good, host or whatever. And he came over with nachos, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. And I remember they had this kind of purple cooler. Do you remember what I'm talking about? Purple, it's like a cooler. It's like a cooler drink. It's like, I can't remember what it's called, but... Yeah, it's like a vodka cooler, yeah. This guy just went like, yes! So I was doing whatever I was doing, and you're doing whatever, and you're having this, and all of a sudden I started to get that thing where you start to, like, I think I was taking a pee or something, and as I was doing it, I was doing that thing where all of a sudden the mirror started to, and I started to feel sick, and this is what you're asking me to tell you, right?
I want to know, yeah.
So I went out and I got sick, all in his yard.
You barfed in Leonardo DiCaprio's yard? It happens to all of us, Michael.
I'm glad that I could represent Canada in this way.
No, but listen, that's not even the best part of the story.
The best part is that I was so mortified that I'd done this. Like, listen, if someone did it to you, you'd probably be pissed. And I thought it was really undignified and not a classy thing of me to do to this guy that it was a great host. And literally, like a little wussy, wimpy boy, I left my car keys inside, because I wasn't going to drive, obviously, but I didn't even try to get them. I climbed over his big gate, and I walked home to Westwood. From where he lived, it took me, honestly, like maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
And you're drunk, and you're stumbling through the streets.
Stumbling, and like sick, just going like...
That's amazing. Have you seen him since?
I'm not good at... Have I seen him since?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. But I bet you $1 million, like, he's got buddies that go like, that Buble guy? He tells this story about,
That's all right, man.
Yeah. It'll happen to me someday. Some kid will barf in my pool.
And you'll feel like, what's funny, you were talking earlier about the critics referring to you, so he's no Sinatra, but whenever they talk about Sinatra or those guys, they always talk about a pack of guys, a group of people like the Rat Pack. Do you feel like, is there another, scene burgeoning where it's not just you and, one other cat doing this, but there's a few of you?
No, I don't think it's like, I just don't think it's the same. I mean, listen, at that time, these guys were the pop singers, and that was popular music, and I just don't think that as much as I'm trying to help this stuff get to the mainstream, it's still not mainstream. And I mean, a guy like, let's say Matt
sell
Dusk.
more records than most rock bands.
You know Matt Dusk?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Good Canadian crooner, right?
Totally.
We're buddies. I think he's great. He's a good guy, nice guy. I think he's got a good voice, But are we the Rat Pack or
But
no?
how about this? I mean, Amy Winehouse, there's this new artist named Duffy who's even better than Amy. They're all doing a sound that's kind of a throwback sound.
Sure.
And you have a sound that's kind of a classic sound. Do you get a sense that some of that is coming back? Because your audience isn't blue hairs. Your audience is a young audience as well.
I think we all do it, man. I think in anything, any kind of art, we go back, we we take, you know, what was great and we try to reinvent it and make it new again. And I mean, a friend of mine was just reminding me that, look at, I mean, the Led Zeppelin did the same thing. I mean, critics pooped on them. And, you know, who are these guys? And they're just ripping off blues music and what is this? And, you know, they took a style that they liked and they made it new again. I mean, when I look back at my idols, if I look at, let's just start from, let's say Dean Martin. Dean Martin, his idol was the lead singer from the Mills Brothers, who was this old kind of a cappella group. They were great. Elvis Presley loved Dean Martin. If you listen to Dean Martin, you'll hear these kind of similarities between Elvis when he does these kind of things. And then, you know, look at someone like, let's say, the Beatles, who loved Elvis. And then if you go from the Beatles, you can find someone like Bono, who was, you know, turned on by the Beatles. And how many have come from, you know, being you know, turned on by Bono, and it keeps going down the list. And
if you don't know where you came from, who cares where you're going?
That's a good, really good saying.
Good to see you,
I
man.
like that a lot.
Micheal Buble, everybody, nice to see you. All right, the great Micheal Buble. Lots more to come on the hour. We'll be right back.